I'm crazy. I say yes. I can't say the word no. I have a great problem saying the word no. You know, women learn to say no real early in life. You know, a guy says, kiss me, kiss me. No, no, no. But guys can't say no. You know, I can't say no. If a girl says, kiss me, I say, okay. You know. The dinners began as an accident. You know, it was a total happy accident. I had a house guest. That's a guest bedroom up there, you know. And in the guest bedroom, I had once a dancer as a guest. And I didn't know her, and she didn't know me, but we had one distant, tiny connection, you know, a little tiny connection. And she said to me that her hobby was cooking. And one day, after she'd been here a few days, she said, would I like her to cook for some of my friends? And I said, what a nice idea. And that was the beginning of the dinners 28 years ago. In the beginning, it was every Wednesday and Saturday, twice a week, and the numbers kept going up, people wanting to come. I thought, this is crazy, too crazy, my neighbors will go crazy, you know. So I moved it to Sunday, and believe it or not, I have wonderful neighbors, fabulous neighbors, and they come to the dinners themselves. But I'm a terrible cook. And when I serve the food on Sunday night that I've cooked and people say they like it, I'm totally surprised. Because I follow no recipe. I just salt, pepper, just throw in the garlic, and I have no idea what's going to happen. But I think usually, if all your ingredients are good, it's pretty difficult to mess it up, you know. I mean, of course, if you put too much salt or, you know, someone calling to come to dinner or not to come to dinner, we'll see. They're either coming or not coming. Hello? You coming or not coming? Hello? I scared them. They ran away. I scared them. Probably somebody knew. I scared them. It's speaking. Hello? 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 It's Jim. It's Jim. I don't know you. Oh. What's your first name? Daniel? Give me first names just real quick. Jeannie, John, remember this. Jeannie, John, Holly, Max, 3 women and a guy. Your name is Christine and you're calling from? Tucson, Arizona. Where are you from? Laos. Oh, that's nice. I've never been to Laos. How is it in Tucson, Arizona? Is it nice, Laos? You're Colette's friend. Oh, that's right, Colette's friend. Oh, that was, yeah, United Airlines, I think. Yeah, I remember. Terrible drawing of me. The guy never saw me. He never saw me. Then when you see me, you'll be pleasantly surprised as I look like a monster in that drawing. Okay, well, I'll put you down. Miss Arizona. Okay, you're on the list. Call me when you get to town to reconfirm and get directions and all those things. Good. Okay, do you have my address? '83. Yeah, do you have the code for the door? 24B58. And then it's the premier escalier dans le jardin, escalier A. OK, 8h jusqu'à 11h. Tu viens avec une enveloppe, tu écris votre nom et prénom dans l'enveloppe. Elle laisse plus ou moins, c'est votre choix. 20 euros en espèces dans l'enveloppe. And come hungry, and come thirsty. Bye. Bye. I don't know, I like people. I know that tonight we have about 65 or 70 people coming. You know, and the numbers will go, in the next hour or two, it'll go up and down a little bit. Like I just scared somebody right there. I'm sorry. And sometimes people are very nervous the first time because, understandably, you know, they don't know what they're coming to. But then once they come and they like it, they come forever, you know.
I've never been here before and I didn't know about it until 3 nights ago. No, I've been here many times. I come about once every 2 months, I'd say, because it's very easy to meet people and it's always lively. It's a nice thing to do on a Sunday night.
It's the third time I'm here.
Je viens ici 3-4 fois par an.
I came the first time about 4 or 5 years ago.
I have been here for it's nearly 20 years.
Oh, it's got a safety device. You have to leave it on for about count of 15. There. Both ovens are lit. That's the lasagna, which is the dish tonight. We put that in the oven. That's the salad. I don't think we have enough salad. Me saying yes to all these people. Oh well, latecomers won't get salad. No seconds on salad tonight, okay? Yeah. So this is it. This is my little house. I've lived 33 happy years here. You're going to say, you came when you were 6 years old. You're right, you can do mathematics. I'm 39. 33 years here. 28 years of doing dinners. So I started doing dinners when I was, I must have been about, what, 11, huh? I'm born in Louisiana. I grew up in South America, in Venezuela. Then I went to live in Edinburgh, and I had to go into the army. And at the last minute, I was told to report in 2 weeks to this base for training. And I'm walking down the street, and I see a sign saying, "Fly with the American Air Force." I thought, well, I don't want to walk, you know, I'll fly. So I went and joined the Air Force. And I did my military career in a little tiny base outside of Edinburgh and listening to the Russians. I lived 10 years in Edinburgh, where I started a bookshop and a theater and helped organize one aspect of the Edinburgh Festival. Then I went to London, where I started another theater, a gallery, a cinema, a pop club, a newspaper. Then I went to Amsterdam, where I started a newspaper and a film festival. And then I came to Paris, where I was a professor at the university, and I started writing books and organizing these dinner parties. They've been going for 28 years now. 100,000 people have been to dinner. People from all over the world, rich, poor, famous, unknown, rich, tall, short, pretty, not pretty, you know, human beings.
Je suis de Paris.
I come from Latvia.
I live in New York.
From Burgundy.
I lived 20 years in Ireland and I was born in Scotland.
Sergio.
Je suis français. I'm from England.
Do you know the John Denver song, Country Roads? Take Me Home, Country Roads? That's where I live.
I'm from New York, but I live here.
I said I could teach it. Sexual politics, I always jokingly reply and say that it's why does A sleep with B and not with C? You know, basically it's the institutions and the customs that regulate our sex lives. You know, things like marriage, divorce, courtship. Why does she say yes to you and no to him? You know, I mean, it's basically that. That's sexual politics. But sexual politics is a nice expression. You know, it makes people think. And I wrote a book. I wrote a book called "Hidden Behind This Microphone." Hello, I Love You, which is all about sexuality, and I wrote another book called More Romance, Less Romanticism, which deals with courtship, marriage, family, etc. So I think I'm as capable of teaching that subject as anyone else on earth, you know? Especially at the time when I started teaching and nobody was teaching it. So if nobody's teaching it, why can't I, you know? I did some favors for some young French professors many, many years ago in Edinburgh, and I lived in Edinburgh, in the 60s, in fact. And I did these favors, and it was a very simple favor. They wanted to bring over about 20, 30, 40 students, and they wanted to have a 3-day conference on literature. And they wanted me to present some writers, British writers, Scottish, English writers. I said, no problem, I do this. And I knew them through a common friend, and I organized this. It was a big success. Everyone was happy. The students liked it, the professors liked it, my friends liked it, I liked it. So we did it the following year. And we did it the following year. And this went on until I moved to London. And then they said, oh, can we do this now in London? I said, sure, no problem. So I did it 2 or 3 years in London. And then one day they phoned me up and said, we're starting a new university and we want you to be a visiting professor. I said, great, great, that's very nice, but I don't speak French and I'm happy in London. You know, why should I go to Paris? I don't speak French. And they said, well, come over to Paris and talk about it. So I came over to Paris and talked about it. I ended up being a professor for 30 years. I just retired. Well, I wrote a book called More Romance, Less Romanticism, and it's basically an anti-marriage book. And the first person to read the book, I gave it to a woman. She wanted to read it very much because she was flying from Paris to New York to get married, and she got married. So the book doesn't work. I mean, obviously it doesn't work, you know. But it's anti-marriage, the book. I always say the marriage is like a Western movie, you know, a Western movie. And at the end of the Western movie, you see the hero riding on a horse with a girl in the back, and they're riding off into the sunset, and the words come on the screen, the end, you know. And for me, that's the end. The marriage is the end. It's the end of adventure. It's the end of, okay, some people could argue it's the beginning also, you know, but I argue it's the end. I think that if we have marriage contracts, it should be, actually, I thought we were talking about food. How am I getting on this marriage thing? I'm going to be shot and killed with all my anti-marriage statements. You know? Marriage should be among at least 12 parties, and it should end after, it should be like a lease of an apartment. After 2 years, it ends. Now, if people want to renew the lease, fine. But I think it should automatically end after 2 years. Boom. I think that there is a concept in science called satiation. And if you eat chocolate cake, the first bite is wonderful, and maybe you'll even have a second, and maybe even a third. But after that, you don't want to look at chocolate cake anymore, you know, for a while. Maybe never again, you know. And I think that happens in human relationships too. And that the most important thing in maintaining a human relationship is that always you have something amusing to say to the other person, you know. If you can laugh, giggle, and have new things to say, relationships can last a long time. But after 1 week or 1 month, you got nothing to say to each other anymore, I think you're in trouble, you know. Don't mind the noise. She's opening some bags behind you. It's all right. No problem. Well, Oscar Wilde says, in marriage, 3 is company and 2 is none. So very often in a couple situation, they need to have another person there to have a conversation. After a while, you see 2 people who have been married for years out at a restaurant. They've got nothing to say. They're just sitting there silent, eating, you know. Yeah. food plays a very big role in human sexuality. You know, it's also a part of the ritual of social intercourse. You know, I mean, you meet each other, and very often it's over a drink or over food, or it's further cemented. You meet somebody and say, "Let's go to my house for a coffee," which is a famous euphemism. You know, let's come home and have a cup of coffee means let's go home and kiss and hug and kiss and maybe do other things. You know, food is very important in human relationship and maintaining, and it's a big element in social life. Food. People meet over food. You go to parties. I went to a party a few nights ago, which was a woman making an Indian curry, and she had about 20 guests. And of course, guests were exchanging telephone numbers and cards, and you know, at the end of the dinner. And even one of the women from the dinner just called me about an hour ago, saying, "Can I come to your dinner tonight?" Because somebody told her I made dinners. You know.
I'm a student. I'm studying theater here in Paris. I've been in Paris for 2 years already, and I don't have profession for the moment, and I don't know what I'm going to do after my studies, but the theater is my great passion.
I'm a writer.
Oh, I'm a financial director.
I have two things that I do. For money, I teach English, and to be creative, I do Arabian belly dancing and sometimes some acting.
I work in computers.
I'm a lexicographer.
I'm in the tour business and in teaching. In my country, I was a teacher, but here I work in a magazine.
You don't want a close-up shot? I'm better at close-up. On my left profile or my right profile?
I'm an actress when I can be, and I'm also a freelance copywriter to pay the bills.
I'm an attorney.
I made my living as an architect in Australia, and then I came to Paris in 1990. And from Paris, I've been seeing the world. I have a very nice apartment. I thought that to see the world, I'd have to carry 2 heavy suitcases from city to city to city. But of course, the best way to see the world of Europe anyway is to put yourself in the center, where you can get a telephone number and friends and a coffee pot and books, and go to Prague, Vienna, Budapest, and come back. Go to Scotland, come back for a couple of months, and I take a lot of photographs. Every time I go away, I take 1,000 black and white photos. My last trip was to Kyoto. Stayed in a Zen Buddhist monastery for 2 months, and every day went out taking photographs. Before that, Istanbul. Before that, Havana, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Moscow, St. Petersburg, Helsinki, Stockholm, Copenhagen, back to Paris. And that's been my life for the last 14 years, just traveling, taking photographs and writing about my experiences. Stick a stamp on it, send it all to my daughter, who's very interested in my life. Et voilà.
Martine. Are you with Marina? And that's another Martine. Martine.
Ah, trop de Martine, c'est pas
No, pas trop. C'est jamais trop. What do I do with my pen? Where's my pen? Who stole my pen? I saw a film before Lisa.
Yeah, but it was a Scottish film. It's not.
You know what? Jim's food is wonderful. You should come.
The bar's outside. Everything's under control. Jean-Luc Wolf. That's Roger. That's Martine. That's Angela. That's Maximiliana. Or something like. What is it? Give me. Help. My nicest story, though, of a city, my first time in my life in Vienna, I stayed in a psychiatrist's office on a psychiatrist's couch. But I went out to dinner that night with someone I didn't know, and they took me to a cafe, And at the cafe, I met a whole lot of people, and they took me to a discotheque against my will. I didn't want to go. And at a certain point when I arrived, about 5 minutes in the discotheque, I thought, it's enough. I'm leaving. So I thanked everyone for being so nice to me, and I'm walking out the door, and there was a tap on my shoulder. And there was this very pretty actress saying, "Can I come with you?" And I said, "Of course you can come with me." You know. She said, "Can I stay with you?" And I said, "Well, I'm staying in a psychiatrist's office on a psychiatrist's couch, but it's very small, but I'm sure we'll find a way, you know." And so my first night in Vienna in my life, I'm sleeping in a psychiatrist's couch with an actress. I think that's great, you know, really great. I didn't know it when I arrived that afternoon on the train from Paris, that's the way I would end up, you know. Well, in London, I was one of the people running London in the 60s. I started the newspaper that everyone read. I had the theater, the cinema, the gallery that everyone came to. And so, you know, when you're in the center of things, you meet people. So I knew Yoko before she knew John, and I knew John before he knew Yoko. And David Bowie rehearsed in my theater, and I didn't charge him when he was unknown. Free. I had a pop club where the Pink Floyd began. Yeah. And Antonioni, I met him when he was shooting it in London. He came to my house. Anyway, there's a cliche, which is, it's a cliche, and I'm sorry, but it's a very beautiful cliche, make love, not war, you know. And if everybody would hug and kiss more, which is what Reich said in his writings. I mean, Reich, great, you should read Wilhelm Reich. I mean, he's a little bit crazy in some of his last books, but his early books, he's very profound. He has a famous book called The Mass Psychology of Fascism, and it's fantastic. And he says, and it's true. I mean, come over just a second. Well, I don't know. Who can I touch? You want to be in the movie? You see, you're loose. I don't think you're a fascist. I don't think you have fascist potential if you're loose. If you're real tight, you probably have, you know, you're not getting enough affection. He's saying that there's a relationship between sexuality, human sexuality, and being loose, and what he calls body armoring, when you're like that, you know. And you go into a shop and you say, "Hello, good morning" to the woman selling you bread. If she says, "Good morning" to you, I mean, she's having lots of hugs. And if she says, "Good morning," she's not, her husband or her boyfriend is treating her badly, you know. My last supper. Oh, my God. Well, I'd like to have a last supper with, my last supper, I'd like to have it with two lovers. Of course, you know. If it's the last supper, I want to have it with two lovers. Are you talking about with whom or food-wise? Both? Well, I'd like a nice pasta dinner, I guess, maybe, you know. Aglio olio, a lot of garlic, a lot of oil. Okay?